Congratulate you all for making this happen to us here in Los Angeles. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Pacheco. Mr. Garcetti, I want to recognize Mr. Holden for a few words.
Mr. President, members, I too want to congratulate Mr. Garcetti and Ms. Goldberg, Ms. Pacheco, and the entire Filipino community. This historic identification is really long overdue. I remember many years ago when I was a member of the California State Senate, you all remember, where the Filipino community was not receiving their proportionate share of benefits as it relates to that which was going to minority communities based on their surname. And they asked the legislature at that time, which I supported, carried the legislation for them, to identify as a separate category the Filipino community as a minority in the state of California. And that was done. The other thing, Mr. President, they asked for and that they needed, now we all are benefiting as a state and as a nation, they asked that we make some adjustments in our examination for nurses, because in the Philippines, they train there a large number of nurses, and in every single hospital, not only in California today, but throughout our country, you have a nurse, the chances are 50% of the chance she will be from the Philippines and a Filipino nurse giving the kind of service that you need. And lastly, Mr. President, members, that it's been my privilege as a state senator to represent part of the community, as a city council person when I was first elected to represent part of the community. And I just want you to know that your contribution to this city and to this state cannot be measured in terms of financial and whatever the case may be, but your kindness and your overwhelming of support. I might add one other comment, and that is the doctors. When the Filipino doctors were trained in the Philippines, as the nurses are, they could not be admitted to our health care facilities. They could not be trained as interns. They were not permitted, but they were arbitrarily denied. And I want to let you to know that it was Kenny Hahn, Janet's father, who said, "Nate, do it." And so the first hospital, Dr. Some of the doctors out there, and right, and then we also had the Dr. Gatos was one of the first ones to go through the program. And since that time, there's been many Filipino doctors been trained at Martin Luther King Hospital, the only hospital that would receive them at that time to become medical doctors. And that was due to a guy that you all know. His name is Kenny Hahn, and we all made it happen. And I want to congratulate you for doing a job well done.
Mr. Labange, followed by Ms. Galanter.
Thank you, Mr. President, members of council. Magandang umaga. It's great to see this accomplishment, Councilman Garcetti, Councilman Reyes, Councilman Pacheco, and I got a little Filipino town in redistricting, so I want to congratulate you for your effort. But the wait is worth it. Hold the sign up again. One more time, please. This is the longest sign of any neighborhood in the city of Los Angeles. So he who waits gets the longest sign. But also, I want to salute a great American, a great city employee, a great Filipino American. Please welcome right here. Clap for this man. He is the senior map maker for all the city of Los Angeles, Jerry Del Rosia. Give Jerry a big hand. I got to correct my Tagalog. Jerry Del Rosario, the greatest map maker in the history of the city of Los Angeles. He did all the redistricting maps. Thank you, Jerry. Great to have you here.
Ms. Galanter.
I don't have a long history in this, but I want to congratulate two more people. We should not neglect Ms. Goldberg's role in this when she was on the city council, because Mr. Garcetti was lucky enough to inherit an effort that was already underway. And I think it's worth taking note of Ms. Goldberg's contributions toward this effort and her responsiveness. I also wanted to mention one more of our Filipino Los Angeles city family, because I'm not sure that all of you here know that our city facilities recycling program, the one that produces these the yellow containers where you're supposed to put the cans and bottles, actually was made real through the efforts of Susanna Reyes, who is now working over at the Department of Water and Power. But if it weren't for her, we wouldn't have the kind of program that we have here today. And so that's another one that's recent history, but it's another one that you should be very proud of, as we are. Congratulations to all of you.
Mr. President, we have, I would like to present certificates of recognition to the folks that made this possible. I'm going to go through their names quickly if you'll hold your applause, and please give them applause at the end. Joel Jacinto, Teresa Valiente, Susan Makindang, Loretta Trinidad, Amanda Bueno, Enrico Busan, Eric Cunillo, Fender Santos, from our own city family as well, Ye Coronel, Michelle Magalong, and from the organizations, we'd like to present certificates of thanks to the Search to Involve Filipino Americans, the Filipino American Service Group Incorporated, the Filipino Workers Center, Filipino Town Incorporated with Jay Valencia as the mayor, Filipino American National Historical Society, Los Angeles chapter, and also to my staff members, again, George Villanueva and Achito Tenza. At this point, I'd like to turn over the microphone to somebody who actually is Filipino after all of us have been speaking. Joe Abella is going to say a few words on the significance of this. Please welcome him.
Mr. President, member of the City Council, and especially to Eric Garcetti, I thank you and the Filipino community in the entire city of Los Angeles, the state of California, and all over the world, thank you. This is a long time coming. 40 years have passed since we first tried to make one strip of Los Angeles as Filipino town. We've gone through different steps. The first step was that when it was first organized, the 110 freeway stopped the movement of the Filipino to declare this area as Filipino town. Filipinos were cut in half because they were part of the freeway development. Again, John Ferraro, who was then city councilman of the city of Los Angeles, moved forward with the assistance of several Filipino leaders in the community. Midingiaga and several others, Roy Morales from SIPA, they were very instrumental in trying to get the Filipino town organized. But finally, it took a young councilman, a real young councilman, to get the dream of the Filipinos come true. And we all thank Eric Garcetti for this. I lived here in the city of Los Angeles for the last 40 years and worked with a lot of city council individuals. Of course, one of them is Nate Holden. Well, I won't tell how old he is. But people in the community have tried so hard to work with the city to get this dream come true. Once again, I think Eric knows more about the Philippine history than I do, so I'm not going to dwell into that. He is truly, at heart, a Filipino. But before I leave this podium, I'd like to make 3 wishes. And I've always been a dreamer in my life. My first dream was to have the Filipinos identified as Filipinos in the United States. And we were successful in doing that. It went into the U.S. Census, thanks to Nate Holden again, who was one of the guys that voted for it. In the state of California. And then the other thing that we were working on is that to get funds for the Filipino community. We were also successful in that, in getting some funds for SIPA. At one time, it was a $2 organization. Now it's a multi-million-dollar organization working with kids and also young adults and also